In this video, we're going to look at solving rational equations. So you're going to have to use everything that you learned in test 1 material about rational expressions, and we're going to actually solve equations. So let's look at this first one. Okay, so of course the steps are already written out for you. Well, first thing you have to do is to get rid of the fraction. So what do I need to multiply all of this by in order for there to not be a fraction? And we can see that the lowest common denominator of 4 and 3 is going to be 12. So if I multiply every term by 12, and I have to do the same thing to every term, that's the only way we maintain equality. So when I multiply 12 here, 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then times x minus 4. Make sure that it is in parentheses. And then here 12 divided by 3 is 4. And so 4 times x will be 4x. And then equals 12 times 6, which is 72. And if you don't put that in parentheses, if you just do 3x minus 4, that's going to be wrong. So we distribute. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 4 is minus 12. Then I'm going to combine like terms. 3x plus 4x is 7x. And then I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And I'll have that, and then divide both sides by 7, and I'll have that x is equal to 12. Now, it is allowed. Always check that it's allowed. I didn't have any x terms in the denominator, so I don't have to worry that I have an x value that's going to make the denominator 0. So that's our answer. The answer is x equal 12, or you could see it written where the answer is in a solution set. And so 12 is the only solution, you'd have it in a set. Sometimes that can look like it on a multiple choice final. All right, so let's look at this second one. Let me write that one out bigger. My kitty cat's come to visit. And is equal to 1. Okay. All right, now I need to get rid of the fraction. So what do I need to multiply everything by in order for this to go away, for the fractions to go away? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by x plus 1 times x minus 1. So I'm going to do that in red here. And as long as I do the same thing to everything, I still have equality. So now, when I do this product here, I have x times x plus 1 times x minus 1 in the numerator. And so the x plus 1s are going to cancel. And I'm going to be left with x times x minus 1. Make sure you put it in parentheses. Here, the x minus 1s are going to cancel. And I'm going to be left with 5 times x plus 1. Make sure you keep that in parentheses. And 1 times x plus 1 times x minus 1 is just going to be x plus 1 times x minus 1. Now I'm going to have to get rid of the parentheses. So if I multiply the x through, x times x is x squared, and x times negative 1 is minus x. Distribute the 5 through, 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 1 is 5. Then equals, and here I'm going to have to FOIL. X times x is x squared, then I'm going to get minus x, then plus x, so they cancel, and then minus 1. And now the x squares are going to cancel each other. Or if I subtract x squared from both sides, they're gone. So I'm going to have left, well, negative x plus 5x is 4x. And so subtract 5 from both sides. And I'm going to get 4x is equal to negative 6, and then divide both sides by 4. And you're going to get x is equal to negative 6/4, but that reduces to negative 3/2. Now, we just have to make sure that it's allowed. Now, note, the denominator cannot ever equal 0. So if x is equal to 1, that's going to make the denominator 0. And here, if x is equal to negative 1, that's going to make the denominator 0. So we do have some restrictions on x. So I've come down here and I get that x is negative 3/2. So it is allowed. You always have to check that it's allowed. If it's not allowed, you have to discard it. It is allowed, and so we do have the solution x equals negative 3x. And you'd probably see it like that in a solution set on a multiple choice final. Web work, I think they just want you to enter the answer. So you would do that kind of thing. I think they give you the brackets for you. So just type in the answer, negative 3/2 in web work. I don't think they want you to include the brackets, but on multiple choice finals that the department has, you'll see brackets in it. Okay. Let's go on to this next one. Okay. Now again, let me write it out a bit bigger. So here, all right, now the thing here is you need to try and factor that. Two numbers that multiply together to give you positive 12, but at the same time add up together to give you negative 8. Well, negative 6 and negative 2. Negative 6 and negative 2. And that is the factorization of that. And so I'm just going to change it here. Now, you want to get rid of the fraction. How do I get rid of the fraction? Multiply every term by x minus 6 times x minus 2. But you have to do the same thing to everything. X minus 6 times x minus 2. X minus 6 times x minus 2. So as long as you do the same thing to every term, you still have equality. Now let's go in for the canceling. I have a product 4 times what's in red. And so the x minus 6's cancel and the x minus 2's cancel. So I'm left with a 4. Here I have a product in the numerator, and so my x minus 2's cancel, and I'm left with x times x minus 6. Make sure you keep the parentheses there. If you write that without parentheses, it's not going to be correct. Now here, the x minus 6's cancel, and I'm left with 1 times x minus 3, which is just x minus 3. And I don't need the parentheses there because it's plus and just... oh, x minus 2, my bad. It looked like a 3. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going to multiply this x through, so I'm going to have x squared minus 6x plus x minus 2. Negative 6x plus x is negative 5x. And then I'm going to, I can solve a quadratic if it equals 0. I can either do it by factoring or I can use quadratic formula. So I'm going to have 0 equals x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now I can get the solutions to this by using quadratic formula where a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to negative 6, okay, which I've done here. and it gives you these possibilities, or you can just factor it. Two numbers that multiply together to give you -6, but they add up together to give you -5. That would be -6 and +1. And you can see then that the solutions to this, what will make this 0? Well, one is if x is equal to 6, and the other is if x is equal to -1. Now, before you do anything, make sure they're both allowed. And if we come back here in the original, x is not allowed to be 6, because if x is equal to 6, you're going to get 1/0 and the thing will blow up. So, and also x is not equal to 2. So here in red, you have to exclude those. So x is not allowed to be 6. You have to exclude that as a possibility. And since x is not allowed to be 6, the only solution that you're left with is that x is equal to -1. Okay, so this is where you need to be very careful. On the final exam, this would be the correct, that would be the correct answer, the correct multiple choice selection. And I can guarantee you that a bogus one, the wrong one, would be this. And the reason that is wrong is because 6 is not allowed. So you're only, 6 is not allowed, it has to be excluded. Okay. So always check if your answer is allowed. Okay, let's look at this next one. You're asked to solve that. Hello, kitty. All right, so again, we got to get rid of the fractions. Got to get rid of the fractions. How do you get rid of the fractions? You multiply by the least common denominator, everything by the least common denominator. And in this case, it's going to be x minus 3 times x plus 3. So let me do it over here, where I give some room. So you're going to have to multiply everything by x minus 3 times x plus 3. Now we start with our canceling. So I'm going to have all of that times that in the red. So the x minus 3's cancel. Nothing to cancel there. And here the x plus 3's cancel. So I'm going to be left with 2x minus 3, all of that, times x plus 3, minus 2 times that, is equal to 12 in parentheses x minus 3. If you don't put it in parentheses, it's going to be wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to have to FOIL. That's 2x squared plus 6x minus 3x minus 9 minus 2 times, and I'm going to do this first, x squared plus 3x minus 3x, so they cancel, and then minus 9. And I'm going to distribute this 12 through. 12 times x and 12 times -3. Okay, so I'm going to have 2x squared, and that's going to give me plus 3x, and minus 9. And now I'm going to distribute my -2 through. Minus 2x squared, and -2 times -9 is plus 18. Now I've got 2x squared here and minus 2x squared, so they cancel. I'm going to have 3x, and -9 plus 18 is positive 9. Okay, now if I subtract 9 from both sides, I'm going to have 3x is equal to 12x minus 45. And then if I subtract 12x from both sides, I'm going to have 3x minus 12x, which is -9x, is equal to -45. So now divide both sides by -9. and the negative signs cancel, and 45 divided by 9 is 5. Now, is it allowed? You're not allowed to have x equal 3, and you're not allowed to have x equal -3. Those are the only restrictions, so x equals 5 is allowed. So our answer is x equal 5, or if you saw it in a final exam, it would just be the solution set 5. Okay. All right. Let's solve this one. Again, I'll do it up here where it's bigger. Give some space. Okay. My LCD, my lowest common denominator, is going to be the product of all of these. So I'm going to multiply every term by that. All right, so now for the cancellations, the 2x minus 3 cancels, and I'm going to be left with 7 times x times 9. 7 times 9 is 63, so 7 times x times 9 is 63x. Okay, then minus, and the x is canceled there. 9 times 2 is 18, and then I have it times 2x minus 3 in parentheses. Now over here the 9 cancels. So I'm going to have 4 times x times 2x minus 3. So I'm going to write it like that. Okay. So now I'm going to have 63x. And I'm going to distribute the negative 18 through. Negative 18 times 2x is minus 36x. And negative 18 times negative 3 is going to be positive 54. And here I'm going to distribute the 4x through. 4x times 2x is 8x squared. And 4x times negative 3 is minus 12x. Okay, now I can solve a quadratic if it's equal to 0. So everything over here needs to go on the other side eventually. I can put those together. 63 minus 36. All right, so that would give me 27x is equal to 8x squared minus 12x. So now I need to send these over to the other side. And minus 54. So those will cancel, and I'll have 0. Then 8x squared. 12x and 27x give me 39x, and so negative 12x minus 27x is minus 39x, and then minus 54. And I can solve that using quadratic formula. I'm not going to try and factor that because I don't have any confidence that I could do it quickly. So if I want to get the solutions to this, I'm going to use quadratic formula, which we did in Math 100. So A is 8, B is negative 39, and C is negative 54. So it's going to be negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C. And you just have to be very careful with your signs, negative signs here, all over 2 times A. Okay, so this is where you get the positive 39 here, the negative signs cancel. And remember, put your negative 39 in parentheses, because when you square that, that's going to be a positive number. Also here, see, there's two negative signs, so that product's going to be a positive number. So you should be getting your discriminant to be positive 3,249 in there, which happens to turn out nice. It's a perfect square. So you have two possibilities. You have 39 plus 57 over 16, And then you have 39 minus 57 over 16. And so this will turn out to be 6. And this one will not turn out to be a whole number. It'll turn out to be negative 9/8. Now, what were the restrictions? Well, this tells you that x is not allowed to be 3/2. Because you can see here, if x is 3/2, then the 2's cancel and you get 3 minus 3, so you get 0 on the bottom. Here, x is not allowed to be 0. So both of those are allowed, and so those are the answers which are allowed, or you can write the solution set if you see it like that on a multiple choice final. So both of those are allowed. Okay. All right, and that finishes the examples there, so that finishes